as most of you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I'm not a big fan of the dating apps. I think that you guys should go out there and you should go and meet women in person. But because of everything that's been going on, you know, it's really been the only choice for a lot of you guys. So I have decided to go ahead and help out where I can. I'm going to give you as much information as I can about how to respond, because most guys do suck at messaging girls on Tinder and dating apps. Before we get into it here, I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. If you're just joining me for the first time on this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to get the physique you want, how to get the girls you want, how to go from the victim mindset to the bulldog mindset. If that sounds like something that you are all about, click that subscribe button. Join us on this journey. And don't forget to take the Bulldog quiz as well. If you haven't taken the quiz to see what your Bulldog score is, I'll give you a nice score from 0 to 100 and let you know if you are an alpha male or not, or if you need some work. All right, let's start off before we get into the actual tips with overall the idea of what you're trying to accomplish here if you're messaging a girl on a dating app, and some of the assumptions, I think some of the pre-assumptions that a lot of you guys make that are wrong, and some of the ones that you should be making that are correct. All right, so first of all, what are you trying to accomplish? All right, what you're trying to accomplish when you're messaging a girl just in general is you're trying to get an in-person meetup. That's what you want to accomplish, okay? You don't want a long distance like pen pal, all right? That's not what you should be trying to achieve. You want to achieve an in-person meetup. So that everything has to go towards that goal. But also, you also want to set the frame for the in-person meetup to make it, you know, what direction that you want to go. Okay, are you looking for kind of a longer term type of thing? Okay, you want to set it in that direction, but you always want to set it in the direction of some way sexualized, right? A romantic interest, not just a friend, not just a buddy. Okay, and if you're looking for a more of a short term thing, really like a hookup, then again, you're going to want to frame things in that direction so that they're already moving that way before you establish the meetup. Okay, so this is very, very critical. Next, assumptions that you're making that are wrong is that she swiped on you because she's attracted to you and you've already got it in the bag. No, you don't have it already in the bag. She might have just swiped on you by accident, or she might have swiped on a lot of guys, right? There's going to be a lot of competition there. So don't just assume that she likes you, right? Just because she may have some kind of interest in you physically from the pictures does not mean anything other than that, okay? But what you should assume is that there's at least some level of interest, right? A girl that has swiped on you in a dating app is going to have at least a level of interest where you could probably get her more interested. Whereas when you're just going out in the real world and talking to girls, there's no precursor there. There's no basically qualification that's happening ahead of time. So she might just be talking to you and she might have no interest in you. You're going to have to figure that out pretty quickly, but you're also going to figure out the same thing on a dating app. So I've got a few notes here as far as what to say and how you should say it, but that's kind of the overall arching mindset that you need to have, okay, to understand those things, and then you can move things in the direction you want to go, because you're always trying to move things in the direction that you want them to go, okay? So first of all, the first one I have here is commenting on her bio, okay? So think about it, right? From the female perspective, she's going to get a lot of messages from a lot of guys. They're going to use some cheesy pickup lines. Some of them are just going to say hi. A majority of them are going to compliment them on how well they look or something like that. Okay. Those things are not going to be very effective because it's just going to get buried. It's going to be boring after so many times. If she's been using the app for a long time, she's going to be bored of all that shit and she's not going to want to respond to those messages, or she's going to say hi back and, you know, she's already written you off. Okay. But if you want to be unique to some degree and you want to know that you're going to talk about something that is going to at least somewhat emotionally involve her, and that's the key, look at her bio, look at her pictures, look at, you know, whatever information you can, maybe her Instagram account if it's on there, and find something that you're going to talk about and try to make it somewhat funny, right? So maybe you see that she's got a glass of wine in every single one of her photos, okay? You can be observant there and you can say, hey, you know, I just can't help but notice that there's something common in every single one of your photos, okay? right? She might already know what it is. Okay. So, she's going to respond. She's going to challenge you. She's going to, like, you're probably going to get a response, right? This is the other thing to keep in mind is that you want to always say something that elicits a response. Okay. If you just say hi, that doesn't require anything. But if you ask a question, okay, or you make a comment that is some kind of assumption or some kind of thing, like you read something in her bio and then you say something contradictory to what she said in her bio, or you make a question about something that she said in her bio. Okay. And again, this should be playful. It should be flirty, kind of, not just an informational, I'm asking you interview type of question type of thing. Then she's more likely to respond. Okay. Because you've created sort of this curiosity, right? This open loop that someone wants to close. All right. Next, one of the things that you need to do is to ask qualifying questions. All right. So what does this mean by qualifying questions? What it means is that you're sort of flipping the script here, right? Instead of her qualifying you and screening you out, you need to screen her out. That's going to demonstrate that you are a guy that is having a lot of matches and that you have standards and you have values. And if you do this, what you'll find is that she will start to try to prove herself to you as opposed to the other way around, right? You don't want to come in from the frame of saying, okay, this is why I'm such a cool guy and you should go out with me. Instead, you want to flip it around to say, okay, you're cute, granted, but what else is interesting about you? Try to come up with something that is going to qualify her, right? Again, it could be two things from the bio, right? It could be something like, oh, I like that picture of you in the red dress that you're wearing, but you said you read books. What kind of books? I'm not sure. You don't look like the kind of girl that actually reads books. I'm not sure if that's true. Or again, now you're creating some kind of qualification. That's kind of a lame example, but you get what I'm saying here, right? Like you have to create some kind of qualification, and that's really going to be your biggest goal here. Is that once you've opened up the conversation, or even when you're opening up the conversation, that you now ask some kind of question that shows that you have some kind of standard and that you're getting her to qualify. And you should do this in a playful way, right? You don't want to be coming across in a way that you're like, okay, here's my test and you have to pass it, or in a mean way. It should be something where you're giving her a little bit, right? This is something that you could consider to be called push-pull, where you're giving her a little bit of a compliment or something like that, but then you're using even the word but. You're saying, but I don't know, you seem like a lot of trouble. I'm not sure about this thing that you said. I'm not sure about your taste in this. Okay, anything that is going to basically have her try to qualify, right? And what you'll see if you do this right is you'll see a paragraph of text and multiple texts that are going to come back because she's going to want to prove herself to you, right? A lot of the guys that I've worked with on this, I've helped them, and they've sent me, and we can see exactly how this is working or not based on their previous results. And you can see in those cases where you've got her hooked in because she's qualifying herself now. She wants to actually meet your requirements and prove herself to you. Once you have a girl doing that, then you've won. It's pretty much over. You're going to have a very, very high probability of getting the date. She's interested in you, and now she's seeing you sort of as the prize. She's chasing you at this point, and you can turn the tables and you can convert pretty much anything that she's saying, or even just your opening, to her chasing you. You could ask her why she swiped on you. I mean, that's a very simple thing to ask. It'd be better to combine that with something that I've said here, but that will work. Okay, along the same lines, the next thing is to challenge. Okay, so when we talk about challenging, what I mean is to push back and to be not afraid to be contrarian, right? So every single guy on the apps is pretty much just agreeing with the girl, pretty much like trying to not rock the boat, okay? But rock the boat, just be willing to challenge her or push back on something, right? She says something, say, nah, I don't believe you. You don't seem like that, or you don't seem like that kind of girl. Any kind of challenge, or even a challenge in the sense that, you're going to ask her, something about herself that is going to be interpreted as some kind of a challenge. Like, oh, she says she runs. You're like, well, I don't know if you're a runner. Like, how far can you actually run? What is your running ability? What is your, whatever it is, you want to present some kind of a challenge, because again, it's going to work just like the qualification. She's going to come back and she's going to try and prove herself. If she tries to prove herself to you, then she is immediately immediately recognizing you as value, because you don't prove yourself to someone who doesn't have value. Now, again, if you just start off with a challenge, that might not work on so well for you, because you might be like, who is this guy? But if you've built a little bit of rapport, if you've got at least her to respond back, and then you're responding with a challenge, then you're going to have a lot more success. Another one that I have worked with a lot of guys recently on is sending like an animated GIF, right, as an opener, or just in the text at all. And when you do that, it's a really good way of communicating a lot of things in a very short amount of time, right? It can be funny, it can set a mood, it can get you a response much quicker, and it has a much higher probability, and just because of the nature of it, right? And you can utilize this within your conversation to lighten things, to change the mood of things, right? To really steer in the direction, right? Because a visual thing about an animated GIF is that it's a visual metaphor for a thing. If you're trying to talk about something, it also works as something that people remember, right? Like if it's a clip from a movie, it creates that, evokes those feelings or those emotions related to that, or even a person, right? You can use this to if you have a attractive male character in a movie and some animated GIF that's appropriate for what you're talking about, she's going to essentially relate those feelings that she has for that main character in the movie to you. A little bit about what not to do. The biggest thing is no interview questions, right? Don't be asking questions like, oh, where do you live? Where do you work? What do you do? These kind of silly kind of interview questions. And don't respond to those questions, okay, in the way that that's a straightforward answer, okay? If you're asked interview style questions, then you should be responding in a very comical, sort of exaggerated way, right? Make up something outlandish that's clearly outlandish, okay? So that, again, this will be a challenge. It'll be a bit of a challenge, okay? Again, now you can combine some elements. Use something in her bio that is in her bio when she asks you, what do you do for work? Now you're going to make up something funny that is related to her bio, and it's going to connect thing, right? That's going to be hard to miss, right? Even using that as a qualifying question, right? Or even ignoring the question completely, right? Ask you, what do you do for work? And you just ignore the question and go on, or you turn around and ask a question about, why is she asking that question? I don't think I know you well enough to answer this question. Something silly, but you're trying to keep things in the realm of silliness, right? Not in the realm of very seriousness, right? Seriousness kills everything. People are currently in these places to have fun, not to have a serious type of interview. So avoid those questions, and avoid answering those questions and letting the path of the conversation go down those roads. It's not a good one. Okay, another one that's kind of related to this is crazy answers to things you're doing, right? So, hey, what were you up to? Oh, I just finished robbing a bank. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to say. You're going to get a response if you say, I just finished robbing a bank. You want to give some kind of crazy answer, or some crazy thing, or suggest a crazy thing. Hey, let's go knock over a 7-Eleven. All right? This is going to get a response, is going to get an answer. And that's all that you're going for, right? And at that point, now you can make a crazy scenario and now ask qualifying questions, right? If you say, hey, let's go and knock over a 7-Eleven, she's like, oh, sounds good. And then you can ask a question of, hey, can you use a gun? Do you know how to shoot, right? Oh, yeah, I have I don't know. How good of a shot are you, right? So now you're challenging, and now you're also asking qualification questions. She's qualifying on something that's totally stupid, like whether she can rob a bank or not, but she's still qualifying to you and jumping through your hoops, and now it's putting you in that position where you're evaluating her on some fictional thing in this fictional narrative. But when you take that fiction, that role play, and that's why role plays are effective, and that's actually another thing that you can do, it is still going to apply into the real world, right? This is something that, again, a lot of the things that, if you'll notice what I'm talking about here, are the same types of things that I would teach guys in real life, okay? Now, the reason why is because those same principles apply. There's no magic here to the texting process, but don't forget that your whole goal is to what? Is to meet in person, is a date, not trying to, do like win a fan club, right? This is not the plan, not to build a friendship. Okay. It's actually to move things in the direction that you want them to go and to stage the meetup. Okay. Another one here is disqualifying in a good way. Okay. So what does this mean, right? This means that you're basically saying why she's not a good match for you, why she made a mistake, okay, in choosing you. But you have to do it in a good way, okay? Not something that is going to insult her completely, but something that is like a negotiable attribute, something silly, okay? She says she likes something in her bio. You say, oh, yeah, I don't know. I can't agree with you on that. I don't know if this is going to work out. I think we'd fight too much. I think this is, whatever it is, you want to figure out something that you can disqualify her on. And then again, it's going to work just like a challenge or just like a qualification. She's going to try and disprove that thing. She's going to argue for the case of why you could be compatible. Okay. Or she'll kind of play along with it. And then, you can give a way out. You can say, well, if you could do this, or if you were okay with this, then I might be able to go and have dinner with you, or whatever it is, right? And then you're giving her a way to like buy into that narrative, right? So it's almost like a pacing and leading, right? You're setting the pace, and then you're leading into the direction that you want things to go. All right. Another one here that's really important is kind of when and let's. Okay. So instead of saying, hey, are you free on such and such night, or would you like to do this, or asking the would yous, you want to say, when we go and do this, let's go and do this, right? And you can use both of these, but the when is probably going to be better earlier on in the conversation, when you're trying to essentially like set the tone and kind of create a future vision, right? It's like you're kind of assuming the close, right? You're sort of saying like, okay, when this happens in the future, when we go and do this thing, right? And you can make it crazy, right? You can combine it, right? You should be combining a lot of these things. So it's like, when we go and knock over that 7-Eleven on Thursday night at 7 p.m., we're going to go grab a drink at this place first, okay? Now, if she agrees to that narrative, then there you go. You didn't even have to go through the whole awkwardness of proposing a date and asking what night she's free, right? She's already agreed to it, all right? Or maybe she's come up with an alternative. It's great, all right? The other thing to say is let's, okay? Let's go and do this. I think it's a little bit better to use the when. I think that is going to make a lot more sense, but let's go and do this, as opposed to saying, are you free, or can you do this, right? Which is really going to come across a lot more needy, right? So, okay, so that's about all that I have time for in this video. I mean, there's a lot more to say about this, but again, this is not rocket science, okay? It's just a matter of knowing what your objective is, okay? What is your objective, guys, right? It is to set the tone, the direction, to move it towards a sexual tone and direction, and to get the date. Everything else doesn't really matter, okay? You're not trying to build a friendship. You're not trying to get a pen pal here. And so when you understand that, if you combine some of these elements here, okay, making sure that the most important one is that you qualify, okay, you need to have her qualifying to you. She needs to some way prove herself to you. You have to somehow create some kind of screening or something that is going to make her respond in such a way that she is proving that she is worthy of you and your time. That's the critical one. If you get that down, then everything will flow, and you can use these other things to really build on that and to make it fun and playful and be unique in the sense that you're going towards these two goals. One other thing, guys, if you really want some more in-depth help on this and more kind of like dating advice in general, especially with everything going on, if you haven't already checked out the Bulldog Mindset membership, definitely click the link down below. You can get in for $7 for the first month. Really good deal for you guys. I've got a lot of content on there on even what to do afterwards, right? Because there's something about getting the date or going out with the girl, and so many guys screw it up afterwards, is because they don't know how to be an alpha male in the date, and how to go in for the kiss, and how to go in for the to get the physicality that is going to be necessary in order to actually advance things further. And so they end up just being a nice time and not actually progressing forward. You never hear from the girl again. So check out Bulldog Mindset membership. Like I said, $7 for the first month. Whole community in there. A lot of videos on everything, including building business and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not gonna give you all the details here. Just click the link and you can at least check it out. And yeah, so to sum it up, guys, we'll just go over real quick. Make sure you're commenting on something that has to do with their bio if you can. Ask the qualifying questions. That's the most important thing, is to qualify. Don't be afraid to challenge, to be a little bit, don't be necessarily agreeable. Use the animated GIFs. It's going to be a good tool for you. Don't ask interview questions. Don't respond to interview questions. At least if you do it in a crazy, weird way that steers the direction that you want things to go, and gives crazy answers for what you're doing and for suggestions of things to do, so that it's more fun and create that kind of role play kind of narrative. And then disqualify, but do it in a good way. Okay, don't be like, I can't stand your nails, or I don't like blonde girls. Like, if you do something stupid like that, you're just gonna insult someone and piss them off, and it's really not gonna work in most cases. So don't do that. And then use the when and use let's. If this video is helpful to you guys, make sure you click the like button, click subscribe. Also, another video I'll recommend is why alpha males have a low tolerance for women. Go ahead and check that out. Check out that video next, and I will see you next time.